Hello, very good evening, everyone. My name is Edward, and I am the moderator for today. Thank you so much, Khachig and Dano, for joining us today.
Thanks,
Okay,
Edward.
yeah, thanks as well for
Thanks for
taking the
having us,
time.
Edward.
Yes, so let's jump right into it. I mean, first, maybe just share a little bit about. I know, understand. Maybe let me introduce me, Kachik. Maybe you can share a little bit. What do you do as Standard Chartered? I understand you're from the global chapter head in real time engagement at Standard Chartered. Maybe you can share a little bit about yourself before we start, and then I'll go
Sure,
over to
thanks,
Dano.
Edward. Sounds like a lot of words, but what it means in principle is I am helping the bank to build a customer engagement engine. And what that does is look at the customers of our customers, try to find what we should be talking to them about, and then find the best channel and engage with the customers. Now, in that small definition, we do a lot of machine learning, AI, data, intelligence, etc. So a mix of technology and people involved in this. And I've been in Singapore for a couple of years with Standard Chartered and in the country.
Wow, nice, nice. All right, how
Thank you.
about Dano? You're the founder of DefDevice. Maybe you can share a little bit as well on what
That
you
is
do.
correct. Yeah, so DefDevice is my agency, which I'm running here out of Kuala Lumpur, which is in Malaysia. I'm here for 10 years already. But I grew up in Germany. Most of my time I spent in Germany. I started my first agency in Munich around 2000. It was a marketing agency. In the meantime, I've built around 16 businesses, I think.
Wow.
I also built and sold an Amazon private label business. After that, I sold it in 2019, and then I decided to go back into the agency world because I find it a bit more fulfilling to help others to grow their business rather than selling products to strangers,
Mm,
which can be also rewarding and interesting. We call it e-commerce, but yeah, it's our main focus, what we do. So we help established brands to start on Amazon Japan. That's one of our core services right now. But we also do a lot of other things like branding, social media marketing, and helping brands to get more visibility online, basically.
okay, great. Okay, thank you so much on the introduction. Maybe let's jump straight into the our topic, main topic today: building relationships in tech. Maybe I'll just give a bit of my what I understand about that. I guess in terms of tech, I mean, people who are, I think, working on the IT world, but now almost everyone is using the laptop, using tools and all to create content online, and most of the time people is on the laptop most of the time, or either on the phone most of the time, either doing development using tools to create development, and things are making it so easy as well to provide a service online, and linking up to those who are not so tech savvy as well. So what in that sense, what is your feel on this, in this topic? I mean, why is this important in the tech industry? Once first.
Dano, you want to go?
Yeah,
Oh, we
Dano.
are so shy both, huh? Oh, so respectful. Please go first, Khachig. No, it's okay. I can do the first move on this one.
Mhm.
Next one, you go first, okay? All right. Well, I mean, I think if we replace the word tech with business or anything else, I think it would be still as relevant as, I mean, building relationships is an essential part of any business endeavor. And whether you use tech or not tech, I think it's always going to be like the core of any successful business is building relationships, because that's how we build our team. That's how we build our customer base. And acquiring new customers is hard enough. I mean, one of the things I keep saying in e-commerce, the most difficult part of it is selling to strangers. So this is the part we want to cut short as much as we can. And that's where the relationship building comes into play. Because as soon as we have built a relationship with the customer and he buys from us again and he knows us and he trusts us, then everything changes. So then also the whole profit margin changes dramatically. What we do in marketing basically is creating these first introductions, like talking to prospects, kind of reaching out to strangers. And then I think both of us, Khachig and me, are in the industry of kind of building these relationships from people who have bought from us already, who have bought from our clients. So yeah, I mean, it's just the essence of any business. I think whether it's online or even if you run a bakery, I think relationships are just as important.
Okay. Khachig?
Yeah, I was hoping we're not going to talk about age. Okay, but I have to use an example that probably shows my age, right? So I studied computer engineering back in the 90s, which is technology, okay? But technology back then was very simple, okay? Like I learned, I don't know, MS-DOS and then Pascal and
Wow.
then Windows and the basics. And I thought back then, wow, this is advanced technology.
The most
Today,
advanced at that time.
the most advanced, right? You program something in Pascal and wow, right? It blows your mind away. But today my son is 13. He writes scripts in Python. And when I tell him what I used to
Wow.
do, he laughs. He goes, it's just like the Stone Age. You studied in the Stone Age. And that was the 90s. So tech is changing. What I do today, okay, back in uni 20 years ago, did not exist. My job today had no description back then. So if that's tech, absolutely. I think to Dano's point, it's continuously changing and it's just changing very fast. It's like that train, right? Can you jump on it or not? But guess what? The people element doesn't change. So 20 years ago, the way you engage with people is still the same. Okay, being positive, being available, being collaborative, come for like a positive outcome. All these elements did not change. So definitely, it's a train to catch. But I hope, we can talk about it more today.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, the perception is most of the time, like those who are working in this era as well, now you say in tech, they are most of the time on the computer, right? I mean, they have to, and sometimes they spend so long hours in that it could hinder or lack like human interaction, right? I mean, do you see that in terms of your office? And also sometimes entrepreneurs, or sometimes we work so long hours that we forget to go out, or when you're working on a product, sometimes you spend maybe 2 weeks or even a few months on it before you launch, and you don't see anybody sometimes. I mean, I've heard founders sometimes they have to spend that very long hours working, and then only launch a product. And also sometimes also as those who are working in the office, they are always in that close environment. And what are your thoughts on all this?
Yeah, look, I'll take Dano's invite to go first this time, okay? Okay, so look, I come from Sydney, from Australia, right? Back in Australia, they're very big on balancing and well-being, okay? As opposed to, as in, they always say, work smart, don't work hard, okay? Do the best work in your 8-9 hours. Don't do 14 hours of redundant work. Okay, that's for sure. I believe in that. All my teams, I mean, I came to Singapore. Singapore probably has a bit of a different culture. Still, the number of hours count and long hours count. I try to push the team not to do that. Okay, try to focus. There's endless amount of work continuously, but how can you maximize your hours so you're engaged? Okay, I think, look, in terms of sometimes, and because we work in technology, if we call it that way, we always have moments where you have an application going live, a big deployment, a milestone, a big release, right? These times are fine if you can work on a weekend, if you wake up at 4 a.m., etc. But don't make that a habit, okay? My probably best outcome in what maybe 20, 25 years has always been the connections, the people, rather than what software I deployed. So the software I worked for around 10 years in Saudi Arabia, as an example.
Wow.
Do you think anyone will remember a platform or a software we released in the month of February in 2005? No, right? But the people I'm connected with until today. And the relationships and the experiences stay. Okay, so that would be my take on it. I don't know. Dano, what are your thoughts?
Very good take, Khachig. I love your take. So I think most people in the industrial world are spending their working hours in front of screens. So tech or no tech, I think, unless you're a cleaner or you're a woodworker,
More hands-on.
most people, Yeah, and no disrespect at all, of course. Whatever, but I spent my life in front of screens. So to me, this is like, what do you mean? This is what it is, So work is looking at screens. That's what it is most of the time. And then, of course, we need to be smart about, as you said, we have to work smart and we have to find a life balance. And this is everybody's responsibility. And this is something we have to be really responsible and careful about. Because yes, it's easy to burn out. It's easy to, feel frustrated, isolated, depressed, burnout, and all that. All this can happen. So of course we need to focus on the balance, just like food and exercise, and spending time outdoors, meeting people. All these things need to be taken care of and need to be taken seriously. Otherwise we become like screen junkies and zombies, and nobody wants to be that.
Okay. So sound like overall is we need to work smart on our timing and also be balanced about our life.
Find
Because
the balance,
sometimes,
exactly.
I see also sometimes those who are in the tech, their entertainment is also on the computer. Like after work, they'll be watching Netflix on their computer, on the phone. So maybe go out a little bit, I guess.
Look, I think pandemic maybe gave us a good wake-up call, right? Because we were forced not only to sit in front of laptops in the office, we were forced to do that at home, which means there isn't even that commute, right? That small distance that we do every day from home to office and back. We had to literally force ourselves to go out for a walk. Okay. And, I don't know about Malaysia, but back in Australia, we had sometimes limited times, limited hours, limited distance that you can move in, which is great. But to me, it turned the culture from this being an exception to this being the habit, the standard, right? That every day I need to make a walk. So even when I came to Singapore, every morning I try to do 5K. Okay, up in the morning, do some calls, talk to some friends back in Sydney, or even sometimes do calls here. But you have to make it a habit. Okay, by default, it doesn't exist. None of us, we all do laptop work, right? None of us have that in our DNA that I need to go work.
I can talk for 1 hour about habits.
Yeah, so I think that's a key thing. That's a key thing for me.
Yeah,
fantastic. I like that.
But coming back to all this, like you say you kept in touch with some of the people you work with in Saudi Arabia, and also, Dano, you've been around to many countries as well, right? What are these benefits you feel having this strong relationship as we are in this tech industry? And also, maybe you can give any example of how this has helped out in our career or also in our business.
Well, I would say most of my clients, they come from relationships. Yeah. So, to me, it's just a given that,
It's a must.
it's not, it doesn't happen so often that you run a Facebook ad and a client comes out of it. It's just, you can sell a teacup for running Facebook ads, but to build relationships, I think you need this connection, and you need to be open, and you need to respect people, and you need to also give them attention, which is a very scarce resource these days. How many people ask you, how are you, on a weekly basis? That's a good, that's something to consider. And then it's also, and then the reverse engineering is like, how many people do I ask how they are? Do I care for other people? Do I actually reach out to people who I know, and do I actually express that I'm actually taking an interest in their lives? And this is how we build relationships, and this builds trust, and this builds business, because one of the first platforms for business is trust. So if I know someone, if they trust me, if I trust them, then we can also, and then they will refer a friend who needs something that I do, so this is how we build our life and also our business network.
Okay.
And the habit part, I find is just a quick one on that. So I think this is a really essential part, what you mentioned just now, Khachig, to find this life and work balance, and to build our life in a harmonious way, in a sustainable way. Habits are a great thing, and there's this great book there's a book about this habit thing,
Atomic
which I read.
Habits.
Atomic Habits.
Atomic
Yeah,
Habits.
There you go.
Yes.
Atomic Habits.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah, it's a very good
So
book.
you guys all read this book or what? Come on.
Yeah. Audio.
That's
Audible.
amazing. Cool. Yeah. So we are literally on the same page here. Yeah, and I think building these habits which build this balance, I think it's the very important part. So what do I do when I get up? And then we can go to the 5 a.m. club, which I don't know, is another book. It talks about our morning routine habits, particularly, and all these are very essential, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
How about
I think,
you?
look, yeah, my probably perspective is very similar to Dano. I think people believe in people, right? People don't believe in technology or products. I don't say I believe in Microsoft Word, right? I believe in Bill Gates, for example, back in the day, right? In the late 90s. You believe in the vision of some people. Now, I'm not going to talk about crazy or kind of very sophisticated super leaders. I'm going to talk about us, right? We're all probably normal, average people who have normal jobs, right? You show up in any organization, and the only people who will lobby with you and support you are the people who will believe what you say, get convinced with your ideas, okay? They're not going to believe in a software you're trying to implement. They're not going to believe in, I don't know, a Microsoft project plan that you share with people. They'll just say, you know what? I trust this person. I trust this guy or this lady. Because I trust him or her, I think I believe in the outcome she or he is proposing, okay? And this will come down to that point that Dano was making. People or your relationships, okay, will play the biggest role in that. People will not believe in you because show up once and you send an email. People will believe in you if you go spend time with them, if you talk to them, if you connect on a personal level. They find common interests or they find common points or common vision, maybe sometimes history, anything, right, that you can use to link with your colleagues, your superiors, your team, okay? And then these guys, over time, they will trust you, and trust will bring in success. Okay, so it's very, very critical. Those relationships, as you mentioned, personally, it gave me a lot of perspective. Trying to kind of create opportunities, okay, for me or for my team or for the things I'm trying to implement or roll out. It always comes through these relationships. As I said, it never comes through a software or it never comes through a plan. It just comes through your relationships.
Okay. That's why it's so important to maintain that relationship and keeping that relationship. But how
And I
about
would
what
like
are
to
the...
add the
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I just would like to add the e-commerce perspective on what you said, because by just phrasing it slightly different, then we already have like the e-commerce branding basics here, because in e-commerce we say people buy from people, they don't buy from anonymous stores. So in order to someone to buy from us, even online, we have to show face, we have to create a personal branding. And that's just another perspective on the trust thingy, on the relationship thing, because in e-commerce and it's really essential to build a brand which has a face, where you can connect, where you can see, okay, this is the guy who built this product, and this is why he built this product, and this is to solve the problem, but the problem he's solving. That's a completely different story, rather than just go to Lazada and buy the cheap one. That's not going to last. Yeah, that's not going to build any relationship.
Okay, so make a long-lasting impression. Show yourself. You got to show your face, and I guess show up.
That's what we're doing right now, right?
Yeah,
you can see my face.
Hello. but how about the methods in the sense of what are usually the best way to communicate or to network with people? Because I've seen colleagues or friends or people who I work with, some of them, they're like right in front of each other and they're just texting. Is that it's like, hey, you're just sitting in front. Why?
That's my favorite. That's my favorite. When I'm in a restaurant, I look at the table and there are like 4 people and they're all looking at their phones. I'm like, this really, this is how you guys like meet up by like together watching your phones. Yeah, but yeah. So yes, this is maybe not the way to create connections by sitting at the table with people and looking at TikTok.
Yeah, but how do you make also as well? I mean, with the following up the question of what methods they could use to network and
Oh boy,
communicate. Sometimes
that
they don't realize,
big
because
one.
we're in
Yeah.
that zone, right? We're in that zone of just using the phone to communicate each other. Sometimes
Yeah.
like for it happened to me as well. A friend just
Mm.
text me when they're just in front of me, so I'm like, hmm, do I answer through WhatsApp or do I
Yeah.
just walk over to my friend's table?
Yeah.
So
Walk over
Yeah.
and talk will be my recommendation every time.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
I mean, I
look.
think there's a generation gap here between those fellas who like walk across around the world like this the whole time, and I find it. I mean, well, I'm not going to say anything offensive because all the millennials are watching, so
yeah.
it's fine. You go first, Khachig. Go first.
Putting me under pressure
what can they
again.
do?
Age gap, right?
Yeah.
No, look,
Yeah.
Edward. I'll use an example to give you why the personal relationships or kind of more face to face. Look, maybe a combination. I absolutely believe in the combination. There's no one way. You cannot say it's either this or that. It's the combination. But I'll give you a very small story that might hopefully help. I'm here today. I'm talking to your audience or to the audience who are attending this, who I think are younger. I don't know, in Malaysia, UAE, Singapore, US, in multiple
US.
countries, right?
Yep.
I'll just go back and see how did I reach to this point? Why am I here today? Okay, so it was through a catch up I had with Harsha, okay, the CEO
Oh.
of Ascendance. Okay, so we caught up in Singapore in person, the two of us. Now, how did we both come to meet each other? I'll jump one more hoop through have a common friend who's a professor back in Wharton University. Okay, Wharton Business School, Professor Peter Fader. How do I know Professor Peter Fader? Because 2016 or 2017, I was introduced to this professor through a colleague of mine back in CBA in Sydney, in the Commonwealth Bank of Australia. And look how this started. She said, "Oh, this guy is amazing. He talks about customer centricity. Maybe read his book." Okay, so I read his book and I thought, amazing. I connected with him on LinkedIn and I just dropped him a note to say, Professor Fader, I just read your book, amazing. And I thought, this guy is one of those pillars in customer centricity. He must have received thousands of similar messages, right? He will never bother even to, spam, forget it. I think a few weeks after that, I received a response from him saying, "Oh, thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoyed the book." Okay. And we started a conversation on LinkedIn. A few weeks after that, we set up a catch up. Few weeks after that, we set up a call with our executive team at CBA. Okay. Wow. And then a few months after that, he comes for a visit to Australia. So we catch up in person. And then somehow he was doing, I think a few years after that, a webinar with Harsha. And I ping her or she pings me and we go, "Wow, this is amazing. I'm interested in what you do." And then we keep contact. And then when I moved to Singapore, she says, "I'm visiting. Can we catch up?" And then when she was here, she was like, "We're doing this conference. Would you mind come and talk?" If you connect the dots, it's the combination of online, offline, in person. But then look and a message on LinkedIn maybe 7 years ago, okay, what that message resulted in today. Okay.
That's amazing.
Nice story, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So already we have the answer to all these questions. Send a message on LinkedIn. That's how you start your career.
Get started.
I mean, honestly, just as a side note on that one, I know an agency guy in the e-com world. He's called My Amazon Guy. He started his agency by posting on LinkedIn saying that, "Hey, I'm willing to help sellers to build their Amazon account." From there came one client, and now he has 400 clients, and he's running a $20 million agency.
Wow.
So yeah, don't underestimate LinkedIn. It can go a long way. But yeah, as I said just now, it's a very nice example to say, like, why are we here today right now? It's because a mix of physical and digital interactions and I would not discredit any of them. I think sending WhatsApp messages and emails and LinkedIn messages is all very valid. And oftentimes it's the only way to stay in touch. And I would not, downplay that at all. Having physical meetings is great, of course. Nowadays, I mean, if you're in different parts of the world, it's not that easy. But, I have built connections through my networking efforts with people I've never seen in my life, but I would still think that they are like in my network and we know each other quite well. We have done some calls on Zoom, whatever. And if there is an occasion, if they are in Malaysia or I am in their country, we will definitely meet up. And that's going to be a big party. But yes, I agree. But your question was like, how do we create these connections? What would be the ways to create connections? Or is that
the best way to I mean
the
to
best
do
way?
all this? Yeah,
Oh.
do you like, that's how I say, do they actually just use the phone alone, or like Khachig mentioned, it
No.
sounds like a combination of it, and using
Yeah.
LinkedIn as one of the main things.
Yeah. Well, let me kind of put this as short as possible, which will probably only take 75 minutes. So, I mean, just to say what works for me, right? So networking works. So one thing, if let's say if you are in the banking industry and there are other people who are also serving the same customer base, it would be very smart to connect with these people. Yeah. So let's say if I'm selling tires to a car workshop and another guy is maybe he's selling the wrenches or he's selling the engine oil, then that would be a nice networking partner for me to talk to, because then we are targeting the same customer. Let's say we all want to work with car workshops. So then I would look at the car workshops. I would look at all the suppliers that are involved in the car workshop business. And then I would create connections with the other guys who are serving the same clients. And then I would buddy up, and then we can exchange referrals in a meaningful way. So if I am selling my tires to this workshop and, he's looking for an engine oil supplier, then I can refer my friend who is selling engine oil. Yeah. So this kind of networking with the people who are in the same industry and just providing different services to one customer base, I think that is a very smart way to create your network on the business platform. Other things that work for me is like Chamber of Commerce. I'm a member of the German Chamber of Commerce, and I met a lot of interesting people here. And they do have physical events and they have online events. During the pandemic, there was everything was online. Nowadays, they do like more offline events where you actually meet, and there are there are talks about certain topics, and sometimes we just have some drinks together. So that is a great way to meet people, just to become a member of whatever network, Chamber of Commerce, or other chambers of whatever. There's a lot of chambers around the world. And the third and last one I'm going to mention right now to me is Meetup, actually, the Meetup platform, where I created my own Meetup. Wow. So on this platform, you can create your own groups, right? And these are actually physical meetings. Yeah. So this is not an online thing. This is like a group that meets locally, and this Meetup exists in every country, I think. So you can create a local group of people who like yoga, yeah, or people who like bungee jumping, or people who like hiking. I mean, I created a group of entrepreneurs, so I call it KL Entrepreneurs. And this platform does a really good job to promote this thing to other people who are interested. So now we have a weekly meetup, and they're always like between 10 and 20 people coming together. Half of them are like never seen before. Half of them are like regulars. And that's another way for me that's like really fun and works effortlessly to have like this constant flow of creating new connections and making new friends.
Okay, that's nice. That's a very good tip. But how about those? I understand now there's this platform now they can go and meet up and all. How do they actually make an impression, or what are the tips? Like, let's say you connect on LinkedIn, but you send a nice message just Khachig, to the professor, right? And what would be a point of view they're supposed to share? What are the messages? You can't just say, hey, I'm looking forward, please help me. You know what I mean? If what would be the things they should be saying or sharing, in a sense? Because sometimes we are so bogged out as well in our own world in terms of messaging and all. that meeting a stranger, what are the first few things you should actually like talk about, and what are the tips for this when we are going out as well in this new world to create our connection? I have nothing. Let's say I just graduate and I have nothing.
Are we having like a dating coaching talk here or what?
I mean, see, for those who are new in when they're coming out, they wouldn't have built much. What would they be able to start off first in all the platforms just now that you shared, in terms of LinkedIn, in terms of like meeting up face to face?
Let me pick up the LinkedIn one, okay? Just because probably I use it a lot, okay? The last thing you want to do is what you mentioned. Hi, I'm looking for a job, or right? Is there any opening coming up, etc. Right? And I used to back in Australia, I used to mentor, okay, part of a program in Macquarie University. And most students, okay, that I mentor will have that exact question. So how do I nail my first job? Okay, do I go on LinkedIn, talk to the recruiter, or what? No, and no. Okay. What you want to do on LinkedIn is actually you want to create that personalized relationships. Okay. So as probably I'll build on what Dano mentioned, right? You find somebody that you respect, or you like in terms of their ideas, their position, or they work in a company that you prefer to work in. Okay, let's say. Connect with that person and then start a conversation about something. Okay, so reach out to say, you know what, I just noticed that you guys, I don't know, let's say, I'll pick an example. If I'm after a guy who works at Apple, okay, and that guy is in charge of product development, they work on the iPhone, I don't know, 15, okay, I can start a conversation about that. I can start commenting on some of their posts and share my personal thoughts. The last thing you want to do is you just like, or nobody cares, okay? What they care about is when you repost or when you put a comment, say, wow, I admire that piece, and actually I found it very useful, or I tried this, put a reflection, make it personal, okay, and start the discussion with that person. Then you move into maybe direct messaging, right? Drop them a message to say, look, I'm impressed with your company. I'm looking for roles if you want to say I'm looking for roles in the market, but I'm keen to know the culture. I'm keen to know, how are you enjoying your experience there? Do you like working there? Make it about them, make it personal. Don't go with the traditional or I need a job. Do you have any opening? And so on.
Don't sell immediately.
Okay? Don't sell immediately. One of the things that, especially if you're a fresh graduate, okay, as you mentioned rightly, I don't have a lot. I have only one thing at this point, literally one thing. I have my passion. If I show up as a passionate, committed, reasonable person, okay, the person on the other side will start looking at that, will consider that. I get in so many messages from people continuously on LinkedIn. Oh, I see you're hiring for this. I'm available. So what? Apply for the job, right? We'll see but somebody who starts a conversation, you will actually continue the conversation, and then literally at one point you'll be like, you know what, I would love to invest in this person. I like the character. I mean, I have, and a lot of people have probably a similar approach where they say, we hire for attitude, we train for skills, right? We train for skills. I'm not going to get the most genius techie person. I can train for that, but I hire for attitude. If you have the right attitude, guess what? Too many doors will open.
Okay, well, that's a very good tip.
Oh, Sifu.
Dano, what do you think?
Yeah,
What do you think?
In a business point of view, you also can't just go and say, hey, buy my product now as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I think what Khachig just said is very, very true, and I can only agree with that. The part that I would add is maybe just ask yourself, how do you want people to approach you? I mean, do you want someone to say, hey, buy my shit? I mean, that's we don't respond to that most of the time. And so we respond to people who actually pay attention. We like to engage with people who show that they have actually paid attention. They have, they found something about us, something that we care about, and they can relate to that. So we have some common ground here, and then we can connect. So if we both like jazz music, then we have something to talk about. or whatever it is. But to find this common ground, and even if it's the business that person is in, so if we show interest in their business and what they're doing, then that's like starting a common ground, that's starting a conversation. And yeah, I mean, I think it's just kind of, if we just ask ourselves, like, how do we want to be approached, and what are the people that we respond friendly, and which are the ones that we just don't like go away, then we know what how we should be talking to others.
Okay, sounds like everything we just find a common interest and be interested in that person first, I guess. Then only after that you connect. Okay.
Give first. Yeah, there's this. Give first and then ask.
Okay. Yeah, that's a very good. Thank you for that. Okay. Now moving on to another one. But in terms of do you strategically choose the people you connect with? Like just now, Dano, you mentioned you choose chambers of God. You could have choose others as well, right? Same case with being employed. But sometimes people are desperate, or in terms of like finding a job, doesn't matter anything. But how do they overcome these kind of things? Where immediately they want to connect to find a job quickly. That's why sometimes they just jump straight in, and all this takes time in terms of relationship building. But sometimes the situation, they are already in a desperate moment, and they have no connection sometimes, and because sometimes they are too caught up in those in their own world and not being connected to other people. Where would they start, and how would they start on this in terms of from an employer and employee perspective? Sorry if I go a bit too deep on this.
Oh, you're going really deep, man. Say again. What was your question?
I'm so sorry. I'm saying if they are like a desperate.
No, man, I'm not joking, dude.
No problem.
I mean, I just have to say, I'm not the employer-employee thing. I never been employed in my life. Okay, so I'm maybe not the
As a
first one
business.
to answer that one.
Yeah.
Very lucky.
Yeah.
Well,
As a business, because business.
It's a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In terms of business point of view, then for Dano, it's like times are not so good sometimes for people, and they're desperate to get that connection, or to just connect to people to to survive sometimes. How do they connect then sometimes? They're clouded already, sometimes, and they cannot wait to build that connection first. So sorry, just diving in.
Let me probably try to answer this. This is a complex, tricky question, Edward. Okay. I've been mostly employed. I did my own business back in the 90s, early 2000s, but only for 3 or 4 years. And then I decided the exact opposite. Right? I don't want to do this. I don't want to be like, get all the headaches of running a business. I want to just move, be employed, right? And just enjoy it. But took me to too many countries and too many experiences. Look, I would say networking is a journey. It's not a destination. Okay. You can never say, I'll go network, get a good job and drop it. Okay. Completely. And that's it. Now I don't need to worry about it. But it's probably more aggressive at the beginning of your career. That's one. Two, you'll learn a lot who to connect with and why and when and etc. Right? But you have to try, just like everything else. You have to try it a lot at the beginning. Invest a lot of time. Connect with a lot of people, and then you realize, what, that was a waste of time. Or this coffee was a waste of time. Or this dinner, right? Sometimes you need to invest even financially. You invite somebody to dinner, to coffee, to a meal, go play a sport with somebody, right? And then realize that was a complete waste of time. But guess what? Just like every other skill, you will shape the skill. After some time, after maybe a year or 2 or 3, you will choose better. You will connect with the right people. You will start finding the key people, okay, to connect with. And then I think you reap more benefits, okay? But as I said, it will never stop. It will never end. You will just you will get better at it over time, okay? When I came to Singapore, one of the product owners in my team said, "Oh my God, like you never lunch with the same person twice. Like I'm so impressed, right?" But I said, guess what? I'm in a new country, new bank, new organization. I don't know anybody. I need to try. I need to figure out who's who in this place. The best way to connect with people, but guess what? Is over food, right?
It's over
Or
food. Yeah,
coffee.
we all love
Food
food.
or coffee, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. But then after some time, that's it. You find the right people to connect with, and you make it more recurring with a selected bunch. So if you're new, if you just graduated, do this as one of the core skills, soft skills, although I don't believe in soft and hard skills, but try this as one of the core skills, networking, because guess what? It will come in handy, probably more important than your hard skills. If you network well and you connect with the right people, it's more important than you knowing Java or knowing database codes, etc. Okay, that would be my tip.
Okay, thank you for that, Dano.
Yeah, as I said, I mean, I'm the least qualified person here to contribute to how to get a job because I never did that.
But desperate business owner, how about that?
But yeah, I was very close to getting a job one time, and then I broke my hand, so I knew I'm not meant to be an employee. Wow. It even rhymes. But I mean, one thing that comes to my mind is maybe offer a gift like internship. I'm not sure if it's if it makes sense, but if I really wanted to work with a company, I would say, look, I will give you a gift. I will give you my time. I will work with you for a month or two, and I will do this and that, and I will just and that could be like in marketing we call it the foot in the door offer. Where you get someone make an offer that people cannot really reject, because who would not take someone who would willing to work for free for them? That might be that's just what came to my mind right now.
The free gift method, right?
The free gift, the foot in the door offer. Just give them something that they that they cannot deny, that they cannot reject.
Okay, Ken, I think thank you so much on this sharing on this, but let's maybe just summarize it, and then maybe what are your
Did you bring your AI fella in to do the summary, or are you going to be the AI?
Hey, ChatGPT, summarize this discussion.
Okay, get it done for me.
Chat Edward, go ahead.
I mean, what are your final says on this? Maybe just sum it up, and then we'll just end this.
Oh, now we have to summarize, dude. I thought you were gonna do the summary.
No, your final say. Any final say on this?
Oh, the final say.
Yeah.
You go first, Khachig. Come on.
Oh my God! I was worried that you'll say that. Okay. Let me give it a try. Look, there's an amazing world out there. Okay, there are so many opportunities. Don't be. I mean, I say the same to my boys, so I'll use the same statement, right? Don't worry about AI, ML, all that stuff. Okay. Maybe 100 years ago there were no cars. Okay. Today everyone uses a car. Believe it or not, some industries or some jobs disappeared, some jobs were created. Okay, so what will happen is exactly the same. Don't worry about all this. There will always be new jobs coming up. All you need to do is bring in a positive attitude, good attitude, show up, show that you're ready to learn. Okay, that's the most important part for me. As I said, I'm doing something I never done in my life, never thought, never heard of, and I'm doing it today. So just be ready to always learn, be flexible, be positive. That's all that matters.
Thank you. Nice.
Dano?
Is it my turn now?
Yeah.
Yeah, be positive. I like that. Well, if I had to put my summary to this, I think whatever we want to achieve, it's important to look at this area that's called mindset. And it's very easy to get lost into how to do this, and to get desperate and get lost. I think what I had to learn the hard way is that we also need to really look inside and look at what's going on in our minds, in our heads, and do a bit of elaborate a bit of how do we think, what do we imagine, and maybe also pay some attention to our fears and to our struggles, and focus on the end result. I think this is something we should really pay attention to like how we think and how we maybe spend some time to imagine what we actually want and how it's supposed to feel. And that's like opening another kind of worms, I know, but I think the mindset part is something we should really pay attention to as well, whatever we want to achieve and wherever we are.
Okay. Wow. Thank you so much for that. Okay. I think that's about it. We're reaching to an end. I learned so much from you all. So
Oh, you're so sweet. It's
I
exactly
think-
55 minutes. Do you notice? Like exactly 55
wow.
minutes.
Wow.
Wow.
That's good. So I
Magic.
think what is important, I think, for my key takeaways as well, I think, is just don't just stick. Being in this tech industry or whatever it is that you are entering it, communication and networking is a skill that we all must pick up no matter what. I mean, just being a friend first and give first, and use LinkedIn a lot, yeah, and also meet up, and just being friendly with people, I guess. Just seeing what their interests and finding that common ground as well. Like maybe have a beer or maybe have a tea or whatever going out. So don't just only stick to our phone or our computer. Maybe just also have a balance of going different networking session and have daily different lunch with different people as well, in terms of business or in terms of colleagues as well. And I guess another part is enjoy our whole journey. I guess it's important for us to enjoy the whole entire things that we are doing. Otherwise, if we hate what we're doing, then maybe we also need to think back what we're really doing. And that mindset, that sets the whole mindset as well, I guess. And be clear where we are going. And lastly, I guess let's
Lot of
enjoy the
nodding
rest
here,
of the
huh?
summit. Yeah,
Yay.
and enjoy the rest of the summit. I mean, that's why we're here, and make sure all of us join that networking session later, so that we could also
Okay.
start networking, and I'll add you all to LinkedIn as well. Oh, how do people reach out to you all
Yeah.
now? Before I end.
I'm gonna send you a
Give it a
connect
go.
request, Khachig. Yeah.
Give it a go.
Yeah. How do others reach out to you all? I mean, through LinkedIn or Facebook?
LinkedIn. Always go LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. Okay,
So
so
LinkedIn
look for it.
works.
Look for us on
For
LinkedIn.
business, LinkedIn. For private and for fun stuff, Facebook. That's how I deal with it. The rest, I don't have time.
Okay.
Agreed.
So with that, thank you so much. I hope everyone enjoyed the session, and let's enjoy the rest of the summit. Thank you again, Khachig, and thank you,
Terima
Dano.
kasih. Thank
Terima
you.
kasih.
Thank you so much. Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you. Bye-bye.
Good to see you all. Bye.